My name is Erika, and today I'm going to show you how to make a ring. We're going to start out with some 22 gauge square wire, and we're going to prong set this little orange sapphire. So the 22 gauge wire looks like this. This is like around a 1/2 ounce, I think. Anyways, or OZT, 1/2 OZT. It's a little different than an ounce, like an actual ounce. So I'm going to straighten these out. And then I'll use a ruler. Oops. I gotta use a ruler. And measure 4 inches. The little ends will end up being cut off, so I'm just going to leave this little kink right here just to give me some extra wrapping room. And I'm going to cut it with the flat side facing my wire here, because if you want to keep the ends, you want them to be flat. If you use micro flush cutters like these steady ones, it cuts them completely flush, which is completely, flat. So those are good to use for that, and you won't have to file the ends or waste any silver. So I'm going to use this piece to measure this side too. And I'm going to cut with the flat side facing. Facing this end. Now, if you want completely flush ends on both ends, you'll have to waste a tiny bit of silver, but whereas normally you'd have to cut both ends, you only have to cut one. And what I'm talking about is there's like a little triangle diamond shape right here that this portion of your pliers makes on your wire, and you can just use your micro flush cutters to nip that off there if you want completely flush wire on both ends. And now it's flat, it's completely flat, if you can see that. Well, these aren't completely flush, so anyways, there's still a small triangle on this end, but it's not as big as the other ones where if you use this part, it leaves an edge like that on both sides. And then on this one, it has a smaller one. And I used the back of these. You can nip that off or leave it or file it or whatever you want to do. But I'm going to nip this off just to demonstrate what I mean by micro flush. So there it is. Now both ends are completely flat. Okay, so to make the rest of the ring, I'm just going to go through the wires that we need. So 21 gauge square wire, 30 gauge round wire, and then 24 gauge 24 gauge half round. So that's what we will need to make this ring. You'll also need a bobbin for your weaving wire. just normal bobbin. I'm going to set this to the side. Well, we don't need that just yet. Alright, so I'm going to just grab the tip of this and finish straightening it out. I'm just going to grab the tip of this and finish straightening it out. I am just going to grab the tip of this and I'm going to finish straightening it out. So I'm just, oh God. I am just going to grab the tip of this and I'm going to finish straightening it out here. Because it helps with measuring everything. Now you can use calipers to measure out your prongs, or you can use calipers, and you can also just use a ruler and a marker. Scribing calipers, they come in handy. That way you don't get marker all over your fingers. Scribing calipers, they just scribe a little line onto your metal, which will be against the stone. It's just a real shallow line that it scribes onto your wire. Okay, so I gotta have my scribing calipers regardless, because that's how I measure my stones right now. I gotta have my scribing calipers to measure my stone. You can also use a grommet with like a 1mm blade on it, and that can be used for other things as well. So I am just going to grab my stone. I've got it on this little tiny piece of sticky putty, just so that it will stay there and not move around. I'll put this over here. And I want my prongs to go right here and here. So I'm going to measure right about where I want those to sit first, because that's the width. That's how wide we're going to need it to be. So the best way you can do this is to just get your stone up here and try and get these directly in the middle of each one of these little facets here, which is right about there. And I want this to be on both sides, so I'm going to do these together. I want to find the middle, or as close to the middle as I can get. And the way I do that is, I find the 3-inch mark. I use a 6-inch ruler, which is a 12-inch ruler I've just cut in half. Or you can, I think you can buy rulers that are 6-inch or 8-inch. I prefer 6-inch, and wooden, because I can use this wooden ruler for other things. And I'm just going to try and even this out as much as I can, which is, it'll be right in there. And I am going to mark the very center by scribing a thin line onto the center of my wire here. And then I'm going to mark the width. And I'll leave that there. And then I want to consider how deep and how long I want my prongs to be. You only need your prongs to go up over the very edge of this. You don't want to go in any farther than here. Just right on the very, very, very edge here. So I'm going to place my calipers right here, right where I need the prong to sit, and judge distance from the bottom of my stone, which is about right here. So then I'm going to add just a tiny, just like a millimeter of extra space for my wire to go on, because it has to wrap around your prong. That's how you get them to stay together without using solder. You'll also have to judge the distance of how far down in there your stone's going to sit. So I had to do that as well. So I'm going to line up the lines that I have scribed already. And then I will take my calipers line one of your scribes up with this line here, which is the width. So I'm going to line this up. This is the center, and then here's our width, right? So I'm going to line this scribe up right here with my width, and then the other scribe is going to scribe my line for where I want the height of my prongs to be. And I do the same on this side. There it goes. It didn't want to scribe. This one's a little shorter than the other side. You can adjust these by turning these little wheels, and you can adjust the length of these. And I had one of them smaller so that I can make a circle. So, anyways, so I'm gonna line up these lines that I scribed in here with each other by using this center mark, just to make sure, because this one I had to do more than once. So I'm going to judge this by the center mark here. So I'm just going to do my width first, and I'm just going to line this up right inside the mark. Not directly on it, but inside of it. You can bend both of them at the same time, but with the way the pliers are, sometimes that can be hard to do. You need to line the edge of your pliers up with right underneath the mark that you scribed. Not on it, but underneath it. And hold with your pliers and bend with your fingers. Now, these look a bit tall right now, but they need to be the depth of the stone, and plus you have to have a little bit of room right here to wrap the wire around. So they will come together as you work. Now I'm going to even this little wire up here real quick, and then I'll begin bending this side. Again, I'm putting my pliers underneath the mark that I made. And I'm going to eyeball it just to make sure everything is even before I bend any further. And from the looks of this one is slightly taller because this is the side that I bent, or that I had to scribe a double because of my scribing things, or my scribing calipers are different measurements on the tips and it wouldn't mark it. So I'm going to just go right underneath this prong here. And try and even it as much as I can. And bend. Now I'll finish the bend. Don't squeeze this too much because it will break your wire. So once it bends into place, it hardens. Unless you use dead soft, and then you can bend it a couple of times. Edit that out. Okay, so I'm going to bend all these down. Oops. Now, I gotta have this guy here in just a second. So in order to make these go up against the edge of the stone, I'm just going to bend the actual prong here just a little. I'm bringing the tip of my pliers down to the bar, which is this right here. This bar goes across. And I'm going to bend it in slightly and bend these together at the same time. I'm going to do the same thing to this side. Let me make sure they're together. Jersey. And bend slightly. I'm pressing against my finger and bending this bar. And I'm going to check and see if it fits. This side needs to go in slightly. So I'm going to adjust this now. And a little bit more. I'm just going to eyeball these and make sure that they're even. And they are fitting nicely. So I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. Okay. So I'm going to bring these forward. One of them needs to be even with your bar. This is your bar. And then one of them needs to be even with it, because they're going to be sitting on top of each other. So that's why that it has to be like that. So I'm just going to bend these up right here, right underneath the bar. Also, if you mess up any, you can anneal your wire. So if you bend it a lot, just heat it up until it's red and then stick it in some really cold water. And that will anneal it to make it soft again so that it doesn't break while you're using it. So on this side, I'm going to try and make this one come out even with the other. So I want it to be right underneath the brong. Okay. And this one's a little bit below the bar, so I want this one to be as even with it as I can get it, because this one is going to sit inside that one. And you can anneal these with just a simple kitchen torch. If it's really thick wire, I would recommend using at least a butane torch, one of the bigger ones. Anyways, so now we need the measurements from the middle of our wire, because the sides need to be the same. Now we bent this bar, so I'm going to I'm going to make it just a little bit bigger because to compensate for the bend. Just mark one of these wires to where you can see right about how wide you need it to be. This is another width measurement. Okay. You can also just stick your stone in there and measure it like that. So the one that is bent a bit longer, I'm going to put it on the bottom, and then the one that's bent even with the prongs, I will put it on the top. And then I'm just going to put my stone in just to make sure that everything lines up. Tighten it. Oh, it doesn't have to be in there perfect right now because we can adjust once we bend these wires to seal it, to seal the prong setting. So, we're here now. So I'm going to bend these up and around real quick because my stone's moving. Now I'm going to put my stone in just to make sure everything is lining up right. And it's not. So I'm going to try this one more time. Oops. Now you want it to be a tight fit, but not too tight, because then things just will not cooperate and it just won't work. You have to make another setting, and then if you have to do that, you can always melt this down or recycle it somehow and turn it into earrings, or anything. You can use this wire for anything if you have to make another setting. I'm just going to straighten these out real quick so that I can set my stone back down in there again. Again, you can anneal your wire if you have to do this. You can anneal it so that it doesn't break on you. Okay. And I need to even these back out. So when my stone popped out, this kind of bent a little, my setting on this side. This side was left alone, so now I'm going to try one more time. Again, I'm setting the one that is a set of prongs that is even with the bar into the ones that we made a little bit longer than the bar here. Sometimes okay, so now that I have everything into place, I'm going to adjust these one more time, and then whenever I do that, these will be hardened enough in the right places, because I don't want this wire to be soft in any way, because I want to make sure that it has that extra hold. This prong needs to be adjusted at the base. As you can see there, they're kind of pushed out because of where we ran this wire around them. And so I'm going to just adjust these. And now we can move to the band. So I'm going to put the stone's prong setting back there and put the stone here so that we don't lose it. To make our ring band, we need 21 gauge. Or even 22 gauge. You can use that gauge for the band too. 20 gauge. I usually use 20 gauge, but that's thicker wire, so you need to think of how thick it is and how thick you want your ring to be. You could also use 2 wires. I have a tutorial for that. It's called a dainty ring tutorial, and it's also on my YouTube if you want to check that one out. I'm going to start about an inch up into my half round that I've straightened here. And I'm going to put just a little bit of a bend in it. Little. Just enough to where I can grab it with my finger whenever I put it onto my ring band. So I'm going to grab it right there. And wrap my round wire, my 30 gauge round wire that I have on a bobbin. I'm going to just begin wrapping it just to anchor everything into place. And I'm going to wrap around all of these wires. There's 8 wires total, 4 half round, 4 square, right? And I'm going to bend the tail end down like that, and I'll put it into my wooden ring mandrel. And I want my weaving wire to be right on the leather portion of this. So I'm scooching it up near the black mark where I'm going to begin weaving, and then I will slide this down into the ring mandrel here. Now I want just a little bit of my anchor to be poking out. And it slid itself back down. To avoid this, you can use your nylon jaws and just bring it in and give it a nice squeeze. Once we get it into the ring mandrel, I'm going to push everything down and together just so that it stays in place there. Now I'm going to put my anchor right before the black mark. I want a gem to be on this side here. And I'm tightening my ring mandrel so that whenever I go to weave, this won't move very much. So I am going to do a portion of a triangle, which is going to be 1 and then 2. Oh, I have a wooden awl, and I just use these so that I can make sure that I'm getting the right wire as I'm wrapping and weaving. And you can also use these to bend your wires into place where they're supposed to be, because sometimes when you lift them up, they go in the wrong direction, and that can mess your weave up. And then I'm just going to give it a little push it back toward my ring mandrel, or wooden ring clamp. Okay, and when I get to this part, I'm just going to wrap twice, whereas normally I would wrap 3 times. And whenever I get to this part, I'm just going to wrap 4 times, whereas normally I would just wrap 3. Or maybe 6, because I need this part to be as long as my gem. I've set these on some sticky putty just so that just so I can see right about how long I need to make this, and also so that I don't lose them, because these little guys can go flying, and then you won't ever find them. Now, you don't have to wrap around this part, but I do just so that it has like a little seat to sit in, right? Okay, so edit this out to this point. Better edit that out to this point. So I've wrapped twice here, and now I'm just going to take my zero-ons and flatten this down here. And then I'm going to do the same with this side. And then wrap one, and then two. Okay, lay these down. Make sure that your weaving wire is pressed up, and then just press your wires down here. And then wrap one, two, and then hold it there. It's my gemstone in here, and I'm just going to carefully and precisely pin these wires in. So I'm grabbing them both and just squeezing and bending in. And then bending them back out. Now I'm going to do the same to both sides. And I need to make sure that this wire bends back out, but I will do that after I get these in place. Just bring your weaving wire around. And just to hold these guys down where they need to be. Now I wanted this stone flat on the back of my frame, basically. So there we have it. Now I used a pear-shaped opal, like this one. Now, this one is blue and green because it's got a little red in it. I didn't want too much color because I want the focus to be the sapphire. This also has purple, if you can see that a little. My camera is not wanting to capture it. And whenever I'm done, I will take pictures and videos of the opals. This one has green and a little red and some blue as well. So whenever I get to this point, I'm just going to hold my weaving wire so that my stone doesn't move. And I'm going to flatten these wires back out together to where they are together again. And I'll begin making this weave here. And to do that, I need to start at the top and then go down instead of the bottom and then go in. Instead of at the bottom and then going back up, I have to start here and then go back down. When we get closer to the other end, we might have to remove the ring band to be able to do this part without it bending. Normally, I will move my ring band down into my mandrel as I weave, but I can't do that because this one contains gems. So don't do that if you put gems in your band. So I'm holding my weaving wire tight. You're going to want to start at the top and then go down. With your half rounds. For this one, which are these tiny 2.3 millimeter opals, I am going to lift. So for these, I'm going to lift the outside edges, and I want these to go all the way across. So I want to make sure that I measure this side. I'm going to mark my ruler here. That way, all I have to do is place it here. I'm going to lift these outer edges. 1 and 4. Wrap once. And then wrap, lift 2 and 3. We'll leave that right where it is. To make sure that my weaving wire doesn't move while I am placing the stone, I'm going to just wrap it around this little bolt here. Okay, so I have my stone on here. I'm going to carefully unwrap my weaving wire so that I don't knock this guy off. I don't want it to get knocked off. Now I'm going to bring 2 and 3 forward and down. Out. Carefully and as precise as you can be. Just bend the half round. To where it will go around your stone. And then bring it back out. Oof. Wrap 1, 2. We wrap once here, but I want to wrap it's like 2.5 almost. So I'm going to bring these out in the same manner, only I want these to go around the edge of the stone. And then bring them back out. To be even with these. I want it to go along the edge, almost like a bezel. And we're going to do, I think 6, there'll be, or 4, so that they'll be just along this portion. Then we're going to put one more of these up here. So as soon as I get this one done, I'm going to pause it and do this same thing that I'm doing here along this ring band. Now, I want these to be flat against the edge of the stone, so you may, if you want the same thing on yours, you may have to bend it out like this to where your half round is facing the outer edge of your band, and then come right here and bend it back straight to where the half round it is facing up. So now that I've got that done, I'm just going to run my weaving wire around these guys, and then I'm going to flatten them all back out, and then do the same thing here, here, and here. These are 2mm opals again. So I just have to line my wires back up, and then I can start again. So the way we done this one was we pulled 1 and 4 up. So I'm just going to show you how to transition from this route to this one. And then twice, or once, so wrap once. And then bring these wires up. And then place your opal, and then repeat this step. So I'm going to pause, finish it up, and be right back. I've got these lined all the way across the middle of the ring band, which will be right here. And these are 2mm. And then this one is like 4mm. So I need to put this here, which will be the other side, which is like, it'll be here and here on this ring, so I'm going to start pulling this one up so that we can make this pattern. One, two, and then the next one. So it's 1, And this one. One, two. And then this one. Make sure that your weaving wire stays close together so that you have a nice and uniform weave or wrap. And then I'm going to lay all these back down. If you want this and this to match perfectly, you can go backwards on the wrap that we done here. I see what I've done wrong. Cut that part where I started the top here. Okay, so I'm just going to wrap once here. And then I got to lay all these down together. So I'm going to start with 4, 3, 2, 1. And let's lay them all down together. I'll lay my weaving wire there for just a second while I bring these all in so that they just lay down in the right order and direction, because it's half round wired. Sometimes half round can be difficult to work with, but if you use your zerons with it, it's a little bit easier. We need 4 wraps here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'm going to lift these in pairs of 2. So I'll do 1 and 2 together, and then 3 and 4 together. Just 1, and then 2. And then 3 and 4. I want them to be as close to the weaving wire as I can get them. And you need them to be like in a V shape, which is like this. And then we're going to use this little pear shape opal, only we're going to place it to where it's facing out, whereas this one's facing this way. They need to be facing in opposite directions. So I'm going to bring my wire around here. You have to cut that out. Done. I have placed all of my gems on the band. Everything is evened out. So I'm going to cut the excess half round off with my micro flush cutters, and I just want to cut it right here. And I want to try and make the cut as even as possible. And if it's not even, just keep trimming until it is. But don't trim too much, because then you won't be able to bend it down where it needs to be. Okay. Now you need to do this on both sides. So lift your half round up on this side and push your weave down together where it needs to be. I'm going to try and hold it in place with my fingernail while I lift my half round up. And then I'm going to trim this side. And then bring your half round down toward the ring band. And just squeeze, give it a firm, with a firm squeeze. Squeeze it down where it needs to be. And then you'll need to trim this as close to your half round as you can get. And is one benefit of having micro flush cutters is it gets this little tail end right here all the way up on where you cannot feel it at all. So it's like literally up on the half round. So I'm going to do the same thing to this side. And bring that little tail end out where you can get up on your half round and cut it off. Be careful not to cut your half round, because you need all 4 pieces to keep this in place. And once you squeeze it, it's not gonna move. You can also take your tweezer noses and do this, and it's almost like hammering it, so it's not going anywhere. And now I'm going to take these off, which are the anchors that I used to keep all 4 of my base wires in place while I done this weave. I am going to begin to bend this around my ring mandrel. I'm stopping halfway, and then I'm going to bend these out. Alright, okay. And then I'm going to finish bending the ring around its mandrel here. So where this has gems in the band, you're going to have to bend it slow. That way everything stays in place, which it's going to anyways, but where it's thick but not too thick, you need to bend it slow, regardless what size gems you put in it. Now I'm going to work on the front. Oops. So you're going to want to start on the top here. To bring your band together. Okay, so I'm going to show you the weave that you need in order to get your ring together here. I need to push all these together. Alright, so you're going to anchor on this wire and trim, and then you'll go around through 3 and 4, and then up, and then come back up between the middle 2, and then down between the last 2, and then back up between the first 2, and then back down between the middle 2 and around this wire here. Okay. And then you'll go around this first 2, back up between them, and then around the middle 2, back up between the middle 2 and around the last one, back up between the last 2, and then that's gonna, you need to make 2 rotations of that on both sides. So now you should have something that looks a little bit like this. I'm recording. Okay, and now you're gonna want to attach your gemstone, and to do that, you just need to bring these out a little, and then place it here. And I want to bring these up. So you want to try and make everything as even as you can. So I'm just trying to measure these as I go. Everything seems to be fitting and sitting where it needs to be. So just try and hold your gem in the center. Like as close to the center of your ring band as you can get, which in the under gallery, it needs to be in the very center of it. And sometimes that can be hard to do without holding it in place. And you're going to want to do this to both sides, of course, right? Now, there's a little space right here that I'm going to use to tuck these ends into. So I'm going to trim these short. And bring them in right here. And then I'm going to do the same to this side. Okay. Whenever you get everything attached, you should end up having something that looks a little bit like this. Now, I'm going to bring these forward. You have to be very careful with this part because if you mess up, you can't anneal it, right? So now this is a square ring. So I just want to do it like this.
When you have a problem with your gut, just ask me to help you wash your hair in the morning. Watching my text. I can get my text. Let's fix it again. Move that giant boxes, Daddy. Look at the giant boxes. Let me in my tent because I'll pick it up and then pick it up. Let me have the cookie. Let me pick it up and what the hell? What am I helping?
Okay. So we're almost done. So just bring these in and then right back out. I want these side by side. Now we're going to use the same exact weave that we used on the right here. So I'm going to start with bringing my weaving wire down and around. And then down and around again. I want to trim this before, because once I push it up there, I won't be able to get to it. So, I'm going to push this weaving wire all the way up to here, and then I'll bring it in through here. Now, this is what's going to hold everything in place. So, make sure that you get each and every wire. And then go around this, and then around this. Come back up through the last wire. Okay. So, I'm going to push these down near my ring band. And I'm going to anchor it off here. Now I'm going to bring these two wires up, and then these two I'm going to push under here. Bring these through my band. And then I'm going to do the same on this side. I'm going to trim these short. And then I'm just tucking these right up into this little V here.
I'll be right there. Hey, that might be in the... Don't go that way. No, go anywhere.
Okay, now I'm going to do the same to this side. So what we're going to do with the sides, the side wires that we left open, is first I'm going to tuck in this tail end wire here. Okay, so I need to press this up against the setting here. Uh-oh. So I need to press this up against the setting and then just bring it around like that. Now I have to take my pliers because this wire is already hardened, and then push it in like that. Now I'm going to bring this one out the best that I can. And bring this one forward. Just like so. And then I'm going to use some of this weaving wire. And then I'm going to use some of this weaving wire. 2220 in the last video. Tristan said he has to go to the bathroom, so I'm going to anchor it. And then bring it around. I want the tail end of this to be against or toward the gemstone. And so bring these on down some, but leave enough room so that you can get your weaving wire through here. Now we're going to push this weave down just as far as we can. And then bring it back through this side, wrap it around once, bring it back through the side, wrap it around once, push it down, across, and then wrap it around once. Again. Okay. So I'm going to pull off some wire from it. I'll do this to this side. Okay, so the way we're going to do these is I've already begun to bend this one, but I'm going to bend this other side just so that I can show you how I done it. So after you get the part where it goes, after you get the part, the last part that we done, you're going to want to do this to all 4 wires that are left. Now you need to go down a little. So I'm making all 4 of these around the same size. In wire wrapping and weaving, nothing is ever exactly the same, but I'm getting it as close to the same as I can. So in this area, I want to bend this side just a little shorter. So I'm going to come down with my tweezer nose pliers and bend it on around. And now I want this one to come out. Alright. Okay, so take the tail end of it. There's a space right here. It's like right between your prongs. You want to bring your wire up through there. But don't let it disturb your prong. So you need to make sure that it doesn't disturb the prongs. And bring it on in and around. I need to straighten this little curl up here. Now I'm going to do the same thing to this side. Oops. Okay, so this side seems to be up against my prong setting really far, and if that happens to you too, just straighten it back out. And use an awl to make a little space right here. It's just enough space to get this wire through. Now, I don't want to keep too much of this because I have tool marks on here, but if you get tool marks on yours too, I have a tutorial that shows you how to get tool marks off of your wire. It is a metal and it is possible. It's just the way that I do it, but I mean, there are several ways out there to do it, but the way that I do it is a lot easier and it only takes a few minutes. So if you get tool marks on yours, you could also check that video out if you'd like to. So I am just going to push this up against the setting here. And then, because this is a bezel setting and a prong setting, it's a double setting ring. So we've got multiple ways to do this because of that. So I'm going to trim the tip of this off and then I'll clamp it down and then work it up underneath here, and then we'll be done. But if I wanted to tell you that if you don't want to get the tool marks out and you just want to start over, you could do that too. But we're literally on the last wire, so I'm going to use my Dremel to get any tool marks out of this little portion of wire right here. Okay. Oh. Now our ring is complete. So I hope you enjoyed making this ring with me. It reminds me a lot of fall. Anyways, I will take a picture of this and we'll put it as a cover photo. And it'll be available on my Etsy shop. Let's see what size we have. It's a size 7. So, if you're a size 7 and you like this fall themed ring, it's available on my Etsy. If you put opal gemstones in your ring band too, don't use LOS. And if you do, you could paint it on if you like to. And you can also use LOS on your wire before you begin wrapping. But I always prefer to use it after, or just don't use it, you know. That's just me. Anyways, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.